V'là, v'là, I want to suck your blood, metaphorically. Hello and welcome to Plutosophia. This is the third video in our YouTube series. Today is Saturday, July 27th, 2024. And today's video is going to be taking a look at the occult symbolism of the vampire Dracula. Thank you for joining us here today. So please sit back and enjoy. Let us start out by looking at the name of the infamous vampire Dracula. We'll start with the etymology. Dracula is derived from the Latin Draco, meaning dragon, which evolved into the Romanian Dracula. And later, this name adopted connotations related to the devil. Originally, this was connected with the Order of the Dragon, which symbolized nobility and strength. And when we combine it with the symbolism of the devil, it injects a kind of interesting, sinister symbolism of malevolence and darkness. If we're looking at the symbolism of the name Dracula, we have the aspect of the dragon mixed with that of the devil. The dragon symbolizes power. Dragons are wise guardians that possess occult, mystical knowledge. Dragons are known for hoarding treasure. So this could be thought of as literal riches, wealth. But we can also understand treasure more esoterically to symbolize mystical knowledge. Now, mystical knowledge in metaphysics, mystical knowledge is that knowledge that is beneficial. It comes from the higher mind, the cosmic mind, the God mind. It is always beneficial knowledge, and it is from our highest self. It can be accessed intuitively, and if channeled correctly and harnessed and understood, it can transform the mundane human into something more superhuman, even something divine. It can achieve apotheosis ultimately, right? That is ultimately the goal, the achievement of apotheosis. That is self-deification. We're talking about mystical knowledge. This is beneficial knowledge that is fueling the evolution of the human, or in our case, that special kind of human, which is that of the magician, the alchemist, the vampire, the demonologer, the sorcerer, the mystic, what have you. And it's unending evolution, it's limitless evolution. And if you take that unfoldment to its ultimate level, that is apotheosis. It's becoming a living god, becoming a living goddess. Dragons symbolize control and mastery over earthly and metaphysical realms. Again, this is a goal of mysticism, mystical knowledge. It is a goal of the left-hand path. So whatever modality is being utilized from the left-hand path, from black magic to black alchemy and anything in between, that is the goal. It's control and mastery, and it's it's not one-sided. It's not neglecting the earth for spiritual pursuits, and it's not neglecting the spiritual side for overindulgence in earthly pleasures. Right? You have to have both. Dragons do symbolize that control and mastery over both realms, that of the carnal, material, physical, earthly realm, and that of the spiritual, metaphysical realms. Now, the other aspect, the devil, this is connected with seduction, temptation, those things that are forbidden, taboo. This connects us with the left-hand path. Transgression against societal norms and conventional morality. This is very much what left-hand path modalities, crafts, practices, magical systems are all about. The devil is the archetype of rebellion and chaos. We have the name Dracula, right? We're trying to understand the etymology, the history of this name. It is combining those aspects of the dragon with that of the devil. Dracula, this archetype, as an archetype, it is a symbol of ultimate sovereignty, ultimate complete self-mastery. Dracula is so popular in our culture and has been for so many years because Dracula is representing that individual who can transcend ordinary limits, right? This word sovereignty, it means power, but power without needing any kind of outside help at all. This is power in and of itself, in and of the individual. So an individual that is sovereign does not rely on anyone else or anything else. Dracula represents asserting personal will over not only temporal matters, but also spiritual matters. Dracula is a symbol of transgression and rebellion, much like Samael or Lord Emperor Satan. Dracula is also an adversary. Dracula is connected with that idea of liberation and personal freedom, right? Dracula exists like outside of society, and he's doing pretty well. He's always got a huge, like, we're not even talking like a big house or a mansion. He's got a castle. Dracula's always got a castle, right? You cannot separate the idea of Dracula from the idea of a large castle and generational wealth or just vast amounts of wealth. And so that gives Dracula freedom. He doesn't need a job. He doesn't need to work. He doesn't rely on anybody. He's completely aloof to the mundane going-ons and the affairs of normal everyday society. We can also think of Dracula as the accuser. Again, just like we think of perhaps Samael or Satan, the accuser, Dracula, of course, is questioning authority because he's always going against authority. He exists outside of that authority, whether it be the government or the norms or the conventions of society. He exists outside of that. The devilish aspects of Dracula are connected with his antinomian practices, which connect with the antinomian practices of those followers of the left-hand path. Those who are practicing and implementing systems of black magic and black alchemy, demonology, sorcery, and things like this. Now, how Dracula connects with the idea of the vampire, like the actual vampire practitioner of the left-hand path, the metaphysical vampire, the energy vampire. We have energy manipulation. You have the dragon plus the devil. This is the physical and the metaphysical, physical and metaphysical dominance, right? Dracula is an alpha male. He is dominant, and he asserts his dominance over anybody, everybody. As so does a dragon, as so does the devil, right? It's all about physical dominance, metaphysical dominance, spiritual dominance, in whatever realm, whatever dimension, whatever plane. It is about dominance. Dracula is about dominance. Again, so talking about energy manipulation, connections with the metaphysical vampire, Dracula is about manipulation and absorption of energy, including life force energy, but also as well as like auric energy, elemental energy, emotional energy, etc., etc. So we mentioned about the dragon's hoarding of treasure. So this ties into some of the symbolism of Dracula. Of course, Dracula has been accumulating wealth. He's very old. Centuries slip through his fingers. He's very old. He's lived a very long time. He's hoarding that wealth. The money is of no matter to Dracula, of course. But again, that treasure has a duality in meaning and symbolism. It is also not hoarding just of like material wealth, money and gold and precious metals and things like that and properties, but also occult knowledge, mystical knowledge, popular culture, movies and books. Dracula, it's drinking blood, biting somebody. But within the left-hand path, there is such a thing as vampirism, but we understand allegory and symbolism that, okay, blood is a symbol, and we're going to get into blood specifically later in this video, but the blood is the life. Blood is the life, but the blood is a symbol. It's so easy to dismiss these movies as just, fiction, which of course they are, but it's allegory. If you understand the symbolism of the vampire, of Dracula, everything, although it is fiction and none of it is real, all of it is real. If you understand that it's allegory. The symbolism of Dracula, it's the devil's manipulation of human desire and emotion and increasing personal strength, increasing that mystical knowledge that I talked about, which is increasing mystical power. And you're going to hear me talk a lot about mystical knowledge, mystical power, right? Because this is tied in with metaphysics, which is what a lot of my background is in, metaphysics. And, when you're talking about the mystic's path, what is a mystic? A mystic is one, whatever, if you're following, Satanism has mystics, Luciferianism has mystics, Christianity has mystics, Islam has mystics, Judaism, of course, has mystics, Hinduism has mystics. And these religions are so different from one another. And yet, from the aspect of the mystic, whatever religion or path they're following, they're so similar from the mystic's perspective. Being a mystic, what that means is you're inverting that pentagram. You're going within to seek power. It's understanding that you don't need to travel to find God or to find some angel or demon or some cosmic source of power or the devil. You don't have to venture out into the world. You don't have to go anywhere. Everything exists within. It's the macrocosm and the microcosm. Baphomet. As without, as within. And the mystic is going within. By whatever path. And again, coming back to metaphysics, the 5 levels of the mind. We have our surface conscious mind that I'm using right now to talk to you, and you're using to listen to me. As you go deeper, same thing as it's going deeper through the deeper levels of the mind. It's analogous to going deeper through the levels of hell, into the realm of Leviathan, into the abyss, into chaos. But as you go deeper in metaphysics, you would come to the personal subconscious mind, but then you can keep going deeper, and then you would come to the collective unconscious mind, and then you would come, as you continue to descend, you would come to the psychic exchange level of the mind. And then if you keep going deeper, right, you're trying to get to that core, right? See, we're going in. We're not going outwardly. We're going inwardly. At the core is that God mind. Apotheosis. You want to talk about becoming a living God? It has always existed within you. It is there. It is there. It is in there. It's an inward journey. Mysticism is an inward journey. And within Plutosophia, our view is that whatever path, if you're a black magician, if vampire, demonologer, you're taking an inward journey. But again, that's the microcosm. But it matches the macrocosm. So increased mystical power. The dragon symbolizes overall immortality, knowledge, the tree of knowledge. The serpent, wisdom, power, strength, intelligence, healing, mystical knowledge. The left-hand path, magic, alchemy, Leviathan, behemoth, the dragons, the serpents. Leviathan, the dragon, the serpent of the sea, the abyss, the subconscious and unconscious mind. Behemoth, the dragon or the serpent of the earth, materialism, manifestation. Dragon also symbolizes Satan, Lucifer, sovereignty, wealth, and riches. The devil is a symbol for liberty, freedom, and independence. The devil is the adversary, the accuser. He is completely connected with the left-hand path. He's all about personal power, sovereignty again. Contrarianism, right? This path, the left-hand path, is connected with the path of the devil. This is all about contrarianism. Contrarian to what? Contrarian to orthodoxy, mainstream society, religion, academia, everything. When you follow the left-hand path, you're taking a contrarian view, right? It's the whole reason behind, like just something like the pentagram or the pentacle, why you invert it. It's not just to be cool or to be edgy or to be an edgelord, right? There's real philosophical, foundational reasoning and belief behind this. The devil is actually about truth. Yeah, there you go. That's a very, very powerful symbol. And Dracula, of course, is very popular, no doubt, and has been in popular culture, movies, TV shows, books. And it's easy to dismiss vampires and things like this, but practitioners of the left-hand path who've been on this path a while, of course, know, this is a legitimate practice. They can understand, it's apparent when you have a vampire in a movie biting someone's neck and drinking their blood, that this is powerful, profound symbolism for something that is more metaphysical. At least within Plutosophia, right? So a lot of what I'm talking about here and through our videos, it's from the perspective of Plutosophia. Plutosophia and myself, as a representative of Plutosophia, never want to do gatekeeping. It's just our perspective. But our perspective is vampires, real vampires. First of all, vampires do exist. They are possible, they are real, and they do not drink blood, but that as a symbol, they do feed upon energy. We're talking about metaphysical energy, and there's various forms of that, and those various forms are just transmutations of the prima materia, which is the rawest, purest form of energy of the universe, which just means it's the rawest, purest form of the cosmos, because the cosmos is just that energy. But you can feed upon that, the prima materia, but this energy becomes more and more refined into such things as life force energy, which is what would be absorbed from like a living being. But there's also the energy of the aura, the energy of the emotions, There's also elemental energy, planetary, stellar energy. It's a never-ending process of purification through alchemy. Solue et coagula. Secondly, let us take a look at the castle. Looking at the historical symbolism of the castle, it is that of a fortress and a domain. So this means that it is a symbol of sovereignty, representing power, authority, strategic advantage, safety, security, but also secrecy and protection. It also symbolizes defense and isolation. The castle is a fortress of solitude. Secret practices and secret knowledge are safeguarded here. The castle is also a residence. It is a domain over which the king exercises absolute control. Now, if we take a look at the symbolism of the castle as it relates to vampirism within the left-hand path, the castle is a symbol of isolation and occult practice. Here, the black magician can practice occult ritual undisturbed. Vampire magic and alchemy can be performed in secret. Since within the castle, one can hide and be protected from the prying eyes of the outside world, the castle is a symbol of invisibility. Now, within demonology, if you study this, you'll notice that there are some demons that are associated with invisibility. And the first time seeing this trait, it may be a bit confusing about exactly what that means. Invisibility is referring to within the practice of energy manipulation within magical and alchemical practices. Well, more so magical practices, things like black magic and vampire magic. It is cloaking yourself, right? Because you're asserting your will over the external environment or over life forms, individuals in the external environment, things that are external to you, but yet you want to remain hidden from them. So this is what invisibility means. So the castle is that, right? So the castle, you can go into the castle and you can perform black magic, black alchemy, things like this. But you can remain secret, you can remain protected within the walls of the castle. So the castle also connects with energy manipulation and all kinds of practices of vampirism, vampire magic, vampire alchemy, what have you. The castle is a symbol of protection and energy containment. It is a physical and metaphysical protective barrier. It is a controlled environment where energies can be manipulated without external influence, right? So we're starting to see a theme here with the castle as something that is fortified and strong. It is a domain that is safe to be in. It is protective. But, when you're in this castle, it is really separating you from the outside world, right? It is a sovereign system, right? The king has his castle. The king has sovereignty over that castle, and it has its walls and its defenses. That within the castle walls, there is a whole society and a lot going on. And what is happening outside of the castle might be of no concern to those living within the castle. But the castle is not just its own system to itself, but it is also its own defense system, protecting it from whatever is happening outside of itself. The castle is meant to be a sovereign system. And so how this relates to the left-hand path and vampirism, the castle is a symbol for sovereignty and sovereign magical and alchemical practices. relating the symbol of the castle to the left-hand path and black magic, we have this idea of the seat of power. The castle is a personal stronghold where one's will is law. The castle is the microcosm. Again, with incorporating Baphomet into the magical system of Plutosophia, Baphomet represents that strict, severe duality. And one of those dualities is that of the macrocosm and the microcosm. Here, if we see the macrocosm as being that external cosmos, universe, the castle is the microcosm. It is an enclosed universe where the vampire magician's roles supersede those of the outside world. The castle is also a symbol of transgression. The traditional function of a castle as a seat of governance and authority is subverted in black magic to symbolize the overthrow of conventional power structures. Taboo and antinomian practices are performed, and social conventions are obliterated here. The castle is also a symbol of the ritual space. It is the metaphysical temple that is shielded from outside influences. The castle is a psychological mindset set apart from the mundane world, enhancing the effectiveness of rituals and magical alchemical practices. Okay, thirdly, we are looking at the coffin. The coffin. What an odd thing to embrace as a symbol of power. The coffin. Okay, just looking first of all at the overall symbolism of the coffin or the casket. It represents the threshold. It is the threshold between life and death. It is the final resting place. It is a threshold. It symbolizes transition. You're transitioning from your body into whatever is after your body, right? If consciousness moves on, if existence moves on after your body, that's what that represents. When your biological, physical existence ends, you are put into the coffin. If that is not the end, then it of course represents the transition. It of course is a symbol for the threshold. How the coffin relates to Dracula and vampyrism is over the cycle. It relates to the cycles of death and rebirth, and also regeneration, transformation. That transformation from mortal to immortal. So in the popular culture, whether the movies, TV shows, books, what have you, right? With Dracula, of course, he always has his castle. And in the deeper layers of the castle, he always has his coffin where he retreats to as the dawn is approaching. Right? Every time he goes to his coffin. And that coffin, of course, it has to be a symbol. It has to be. He goes into that. The daytime passes, and then he reemerges. Of course, he is always young. He's always regenerated. He's always rejuvenated. And so the coffin is a powerful symbol, I think, of that regeneration and that rejuvenation. And I think there's healing that happens in there. I think so during the nighttime hours when Dracula is awake and he's wandering around, he's feeding, he's drinking the blood, right? Then when he goes into the coffin, he has to take that blood, which is a symbol for life force, energy, metaphysical energy. He has to take that and he has to transmute it right? So now he's getting into alchemy. So I think the Coffin is really bringing it more into alchemy. Maybe in the waking hours, Dracula is performing more like black magic. He's working with manipulating energy and channeling it and moving it and absorbing it. But when he goes into the Coffin, right, he already has the energy. He already has the blood within him. But that's not enough. It's not enough to just take the blood. Now you need alchemy. Now you need to work upon that blood. So when he enters the Coffin and he closes the lid and he's in there, right, during the daytime hours, what he is doing symbolically is he is performing alchemy. He's taking that energy that he has accumulated through feeding upon the blood of his victims, and he is transmuting it through alchemical processes. He is assimilating it. He is synthesizing it. The Coffin ultimately is a symbol of endings and beginnings, just as death, just as the great Lord Pluto within Plutosophia is revered as the demon of alchemy, the god of death. But it's not death. It's not just death. Death is a symbol. Of course, it is an ending. But there's always the duality. It's death and rebirth, death and life. And so, too, the Coffin is a symbol of endings and beginnings, death and rebirth. Within metaphysical vampirism, energy vampirism, the Coffin is a symbol of regeneration and rejuvenation. It is also protection during times of vulnerability, right? So Dracula, during the daytime, he's using it to escape from the sunlight, and he's in there, and he's in a vulnerable state because he is going within. He's very introspective. He's performing inner alchemical workings to transmute this energy, this blood that he has accumulated, and he's transmuting it. During this process, he is at a very vulnerable state. So the Coffin protects him. It is a symbol of protection during this time. The Coffin is a symbol of alchemical transformation. It is very strongly connected with the Negredo stage of alchemy, the blackness, the abyss. Of course, it's dark in there, right? But, it is connected with that embracing of death, embracing of the blackness, embracing of the abyss. It is a symbol of initiation and rebirth. The Coffin symbolizes the deeper mysteries of the self and the universe. Through the Coffin, you are dying to the world to be reborn with new knowledge and power. The Coffin is a symbol of black magic and transformation. So the Coffin is very much tied in with black magic, vampirism. The Coffin signifies entering a state of deep introspection or transformation for ritual or meditation. The Coffin conserves the physical form of the vampire, which is akin to conserving the energy or the metaphysical form of the vampire. The Coffin is symbolic of, in practice, setting aside a sacred space or a time where no external influences can permeate, allowing for focused energy work or magical practices. So anybody who's looked into practicing meditation or yoga meditation, of course, not the pregnant women stretching and what do you call them? Spandex. I mean like yoga science, right? Of course, they talk about, okay, when you're getting ready to practice these things, you need to find a space where it doesn't really matter, but the space has to be secluded. It has to be quiet. It has to be free from distractions, whether they be distractions of light or sound or touch, what have you. The Coffin, what is more befitting of this than the coffin? When you go into the coffin and you close the lid, and nothing can touch you. You're completely alone. You're completely secluded. And so within that coffin, profound change can occur. And it does occur. The coffin is a sacred space where black alchemy is performed. All right. Fourthly, we come upon the symbol of the bat. The bat is a creature of the night. They are nocturnal. Being nocturnal, this is a direct symbol of night, which directly relates to the concepts of mystery, intuition, the unseen. Bats use echolocation, which does symbolize metaphysical perception, something that all magicians use. Magicians are working with energies. They are manipulating, channeling, refining, purifying through magic and alchemy these energies of the metaphysical realm. Bats are masters of the hidden. They navigate the darkness of the night, just as the vampyre navigates different planes of existence or states of consciousness to manipulate and absorb energy. There's also the matter of the subtle energy of the vampire, right? So we talked about already that, in the popular culture and things, you have Dracula and various other vampires through the books, the Anne Rice books, and Poppy Z. Bright, and all of that. They're always drinking blood, but this is a symbol. It's easily dismissed. That's why it's allowed into popular mainstream society, because if people really knew what they were actually talking about, there's no way it would be allowed. But of course, there are members of the vampire community, sanguinarians, who drink blood, and all the power to you. No gatekeeping here. This is only, I'm speaking from the perspective of Plutosophia. We have kind of our, we're very loose and open-minded, but we do have certain definitions and things in place, and one of those is that the vampire is real. They are a powerful being. They do feed upon other people, or not just people, but any source of energy. But it is not blood, which you could, but it's just really so unnecessary. We're talking about the metaphysical realm, metaphysical energy, like emotional energy, like energy of the aura, the energy of the soul, cosmic energy. The blood is, you can only drink so much of that until you vomit it back up. It's not practical. There's no real power there, except for the power that you put into it. So yeah, there is definitely, that's beyond the scope of this video to get into sanguinarian vampirism. I do, have a certain understanding and respect for those who follow that path. You can get a rush out of physically drinking blood. You can get a high from it. You can get power from it. But ultimately, that power is coming not necessarily from the physical blood. It's coming from the more metaphysical realms. And yeah, you could argue that, the blood is a carrier, a conduit of that energy. That's fine, but I just think it's, at least from the Plutosophic philosophy and metaphysics and perspective, it's unnecessary. It's subtle energy. That's why it's missed by nearly everybody. That's why it's abandoned. That's why it's joked about. That's why it's dismissed. It's subtle. It's subtle energy. It has a subtle influence, but you can build upon it. Now, the thing is, it's so easy to dismiss it because it is subtle, but the black magician, the vampire, understands that, well, there is no limit to how much you can feed upon this. Therefore, it has limitless potential. There's no limit to how much you can build upon its power. The silent, almost imperceptible movement of the bat mirrors the subtle ways in which the energy is manipulated discreetly and stealthily by the vampire. Now, how this connects to left-hand path black magic. The bat is an emblem of individuality. It is a symbol of rebirth. It connects with the idea of the vampire navigating through the chaos of the abyss, Leviathan, hell. And it also connects with the idea of energy dynamics in vampire magic. So as an emblem of individuality within the left-hand path, bats symbolize the embrace of one's unique path away from societal norms. I mean, this is so much what the left-hand path is about. It is about contrarianism, being the adversary, being the accuser, taking the other path, being unorthodox, being taboo, embracing the taboo. Bats embody the individualistic. Again, left-hand path is all about individual liberty, sovereignty, freedom, following your own path. The individualistic pursuit of one's goals, often in solitary or misunderstood ways. Bats are symbols of death and rebirth in various cultures, and therefore represent the immortality and eternal youth of the vampire. This is why vampires are connected with bats. This is why Dracula is so connected with bats. This is why Dracula is shape-shifting into bats. This stuff is not just random. There are various, very serious, profound truths veiled in the symbols they put forth through Hollywood. Navigation through the chaos of the abyss. Again, night, the darkness of night, the blackness is... the symbolism is apparent. This is the abyss of the deeper levels of the mind, the subconscious, the unconscious, is the abyss of the hell. Going into hell, descending into the mind, embracing, you're going to face the chaos. It's your choice whether you embrace it or not. A true black magician would embrace it. The abyss, a bat can navigate with no issue through that blackness. Again, with that echolocation. Energy dynamics in vampire magic. So these bats, through their various attributes and things, are symbolizing many of the qualities of the vampire: fluidity and adaptability and vampire energy manipulation, right? Vampires can navigate that black abyss effortlessly through their echolocation, right? What I'm talking about is symbolism, right? You gotta understand that, of course, movies about Dracula and vampires are ridiculous, taken at face value, but those with eyes will see and those with ears will hear. We're talking about allegorical things, hidden meanings, hidden symbolism. Okay, and that is that for the bat. Dracula's domain is, of course, the night. And in the left-hand path, in black magic, alchemy, night is a powerful symbol. It corresponds with the element of water, and water is divine feminine energy. So we're talking about intuition, the subconscious mind, emotional depth, the deeper levels of the psyche, the shadow mind. So if we contrast this with an element like fire, right, an element that is connected with the demon Samael, the demon Satan, this is an energy that is manipulated more within the surface conscious level of the mind, and it's very focused, assertive, aggressive, forceful energy. But with feminine energy, like water, you're being receptive, right? Feminine energy, unlike assertive masculine energy, feminine energy is receptive. It's more about giving in, quieting the mind, and listening. So with intuition, you're actually going deep, deep, deep down into the deeper levels of the mind, to the subconscious, to the unconscious, to the infinite mind at the core of your being, and attempting to tap into and channel that knowledge and power that is there. So this is the way of water. Night is also connected with the moon. Again, a very powerful feminine symbol. The moon is receptive, intuitive, feminine energy. The night, it is the domain of mystery and the unknown. And of course, this paints the picture of Dracula very well. Night evokes fear, but also curiosity and a sense of exploration. It is a time when the boundary between the natural and supernatural is more permeable. Night can be thought of as the veil of darkness. It is symbolic of concealment and protection. Safety for the vampire Dracula, where dark occult practices may be carried out hidden from prying eyes. Night is also the time for energy vampyrism, energy work, energy manipulation. The quiet and stillness of night aids in focusing and sensing subtler energies that are more difficult to sense during the stimulation of daylight. Night is also connected with the concepts of rejuvenation and power, as many creatures are rejuvenated by rest at night. Night enhances the psychic ability of the vampire to feed upon the metaphysical energies of their environment. Night is all about embracing the shadow self. Night is chaos. It is the abyss. It is the subconscious, the unconscious. It is connected with things like psychoanalysis, where aspects of the shadow mind, such as repressed emotions, repressed memories, these things can be discovered and brought out. Right? Just like night is connected with the demoness Leviathan. In working with Leviathan, she's taking us into the chaos of the abyss. And that's why it's terrifying, just like in psychoanalysis, because you're confronting the shadow mind. And there's things there, right? There's definitely a lot of power there if you can hold it together. But there's a lot that needs to be discovered, that's been lying dormant, right? Just because we're not consciously aware of it, right? Because there's that buffer zone between our surface conscious mind and that deeper subconscious or even the unconscious mind, right? Where these universal archetypes are lying. Okay, I just kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, Leviathan, the shadow mind, psychoanalysis. Leviathan takes you into that abyss, that shadow realm. And this is, akin with alchemy and the negredo, the blackening stage. You have to confront these things and bring them to the surface. And it's something that you'll hear from a lot of people, and perhaps you've experienced it yourself. If you've been doing like serious meditation or even serious, lots of different kinds of energy work, you'll experience this too, where it can become quite uncomfortable, even stressful, because it's like all this junk will keep coming up, right? You'll be meditating and you're relaxing and your mind is quieting, but then it's like all these, you'll think of all of these past memories, and a lot of it is negative, and it's almost like it's being purged. And a lot of people are scared by this, they're turned off by it, and so they'll stop meditation, they'll never touch it again, or they'll give up on the energy work. But this is alchemy. This is, you have to discover these things, and then you have to purge them out for cleansing. So night is embracing the shadow self, embracing the chaos, embracing the abyss. Night is terrifying, of course, but if you're on the left-hand path, we are kind of drawn to it because we know, for as terrifying as it is, there's just so much power there, and it is the path. It is the way to go. It is the path that you have to take. You must travel at night. Night, it is freedom from societal judgments. Again, night is the left-hand path. Night is the unorthodox. It is the taboo. It's connected with the contrarianism, adversity, being, adversarial. Satan, the adversary. The vampire thrives in the shadow, and for this reason, he rejects the sunlight. It is for this reason he rejects the sunlight. The vampire is a sovereign being that manifests his or her own light in the darkness. So, a lot of people, they don't like the left-hand path. They're turned off by it. They're scared of it because they think it's just darkness. It's just darkness. But yeah, it's a darkness, but it is going into the darkness so that you can learn to manifest your own light. Right? So you can take the right-hand path or you can take the left-hand path. The right-hand path is much safer and you'll always have light there, but it's not your light. Does this make sense? With the left-hand path, you're taking a risk. You can be destroyed by it. But if you survive, you will have light too, but it will be your own light. This is sovereignty. This is true inner power. So that is what is very different about the right and left-hand path. The right-hand path is light, illumination through submission to an outside force. The left-hand path is illumination through mastery of the self. True sovereignty, true apotheosis. And that's what Dracula is, and that's why Dracula has such this allure and this magnetism, because he symbolizes true power. True power is self-power. True power is mystical power. It's mystical knowledge. It's this knowledge and power that comes from within. It's sovereignty. Unless you have true sovereignty, you don't have true power. Unless you are a sovereign being, you are always reliant on someone or something else. Dracula relies on no other. Dracula is a complete sovereign being. Ritual timing. Black magic proves potentially more powerful for the vampire at night. So this connects with ritual timing. Psychodrama. Something that LaVey talked about. The darkness of night focuses and intensifies the power of magic and ritual. It promotes introspection and connection with the darker shadow aspects of the psyche. At night, there is an increased perception of subtle energies. So this is going to aid in vampire work, vampire magic. Feeding upon these spiritual, metaphysical energies. The night symbolizes the left-hand path's defiance of convention and exploration of the shadow abyss. The primary colors that are associated with Dracula are red, white, and black. Red symbolizes vitality, passion, power. It is connected with blood. Blood being not just physical blood, like in the Dracula movies and books, but it is also an allegory for life force energy that the metaphysical vampire would feed upon. Blood is connected with the element of fire, and so this color is connected with the demon Satan. It corresponds with willpower, again, life force energy, like I said, focus and intensity. Now with the color white, we are looking at the symbolism of purity, innocence, and also transcendent or transcendency. White has that connection with enlightenment and illumination, and so transcending the mundane world, the physical realm. White is also symbolic of the blank slate, and so its meaning is that of cleansing of impurities, cleansing of former identities. This could also be thought of as rebirth and new beginnings, also potential and untouched, untapped energies. So with white, we have new beginnings, a blank slate, rebirth, and all of this potential because you are starting anew. With the color black, we're getting more into occult themes. So black is symbolic of mystery, the void, the abyss, death, and also rebirth, because remember the duality. Just like with Lord or Demon Pluto, the demon of death, he is also the demon of life, the demon of the cycles of life and death. Black also symbolizes the unknown, the subconscious mind, and the shadow mind and the shadow aspects of the psyche. Through alchemy, black would symbolize dissolution of the ego, necessary for vampyric transformation. It of course symbolizes hidden occult knowledge as well as mystical knowledge and mystical power. In looking at vampire black alchemy, the black would be the negrito stage, the white would be the albedo, and the red would be the rubido. Red, again, is that life force, energy, and willpower. Black is death and transformation or metamorphosis. And white is rebirth and immortality. Red is of the element fire, symbolizes strength, passion, focus, willpower, assertion, aggression, power, and dominance. Black is of the element earth and water. Its energy is grounding. It symbolizes depth. It is the foundation for transformation and renewal. And the color white is associated with the element of air as well as spirit. And it is connected with the concept of clarity and illumination as well as enlightenment. Red ignites the will to effect change. White brings the needed clarity and purity needed for insight. And black provides the depth and resilience necessary to explore and integrate the shadow self. Red initiates and energizes. White purifies and manifests. And black banishes and protects. In astrology, and looking at the astrological correspondences, red would be associated with Mars and the sun. And again, it is that driving force and that vitality, that life force. White is associated with the moon and Venus, and it is connected with emotional and spiritual purity. And the color black is connected with Saturn. And so it is connected with time and endings as well as karma. Another very interesting quality of Dracula is that of shape-shifting. Now, of course, we can think of this as being literal shape-shifting, but just like with everything, there's some deeper symbolism happening here. And again, to reiterate, there is the Dracula or the vampire that is presented in the mainstream of Hollywood and TV and movies and books. This is what is presented to the masses. But with some mystical knowledge, the allegory is apparent. So shape-shifting, just like the other attributes of Dracula, is symbolic of something more. Shape-shifting symbolizes the adaptability of Dracula or the vampire, as well as his ability to transform. It's symbolic of Dracula's ability to change form or identity at will. It alludes to his mastery of the self and his environment. Shape-shifting reflects the mutable nature of reality, which is very important, of course, necessary in left-hand path practices, in magic and alchemy. All of these things are possible because reality is mutable. Shape-shifting also symbolizes the transgression of boundaries. Okay, so this is kind of connected with that, reflecting that mutable nature of reality, that these boundaries or physical laws that we believe are laws, a creature like Dracula can actually can transcend these boundaries. So shape-shifting is an important symbol because it blurs the lines between species, identities, planes of existence, dimensions, realms, the waking and dream worlds, life and death, etc., etc. The concept of shape-shifting also alludes to the manipulation of essence and energetic essence, or spiritual essence, aura, life force energy, elemental energies, really any and all spiritual and metaphysical forces. When the vampire, or when Dracula is shape-shifting, this is showing total mastery over the energy of his form and his being. And so this can really extend to any other form of energy, and how the vampire Dracula is able to manipulate these energies for his benefit. And so shape-shifting is also connected with versatility in energy use, versatility in using different energies for different purposes, such as how energy can be used for healing or invisibility, intelligence, charisma, confidence, strength, increasing power, eternal youth, immortality. Shape-shifting, it is also a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of liberty, sovereignty, independence. Because think of that power. When you can shape-shift, you can pretty much escape from any situation, get into any place, take on any identity or form. You would have the total power of manipulation and influence over others, as well as your own self and every situation, just through shape-shifting. So with shape-shifting, you have total liberation and escape from the matrix of reality. Shape-shifting is, in essence, it is transcendence of the physical world. It is transcendence of physical law. It is mastery of metaphysics. Shape-shifting symbolizes transformation, ascension, and apotheosis, because you are changing from a mundane human into a divine being, a superhuman, a vampire, living God. Shape-shifting is also connected with other realms, other metaphysical realms, the astral realm, the dream world. It is connected with remote viewing and astral travel and psychic vampirism, energy vampirism, because you're able to work with all kinds of energies within all kinds of different planes and realms. And all of this requires constant manipulation and transformation of the self, as well as energies, as well as the environment around you. And for all of this to work, and for Dracula to have this power of shape-shifting, he really must have total control. And lastly, shape-shifting, it can also symbolize how in magic, the magician is able to adopt or channel or work with various archetypes, such as that of Dracula. Next, we look at the symbolism of blood. Blood is symbolic of life force energy. Blood is life essence. It is vitality. It also symbolizes passion, ambition, and drive. It is symbolic of metaphysical energies. So in Plutosophia, when we talk about vampirism or blood, we're talking of this in the metaphysical sense. We're talking about subtle energies. Blood is a more refined essence of prima materia. right? So prima materia, we can think of that universal cosmic base energy that forms the kind of matrix of all of this. In Plutosophia, we see it as comprising everything on every realm and every plane and every dimension. So it is comprising the basis, right? Because all is energy, the all is mind. So whether we're looking at the mental plane or the supposed physical plane, the spiritual planes, the astral plane, whatever it is, the foundation, that foundational energy is prima materia. And then when you look at other types of energy, like elemental energy, auric energy, life force energy, these are still prima materia, but they are just at different transmutative stages. So you can transmute and refine and purify prima materia to create these other energies, including things like planetary energy, stellar energy, and life force energies, things like chi, ki, prana. These are all transmuted forms of prima materia, as is life force energy, and that is what the blood symbolizes, right? Because the blood in the media or the books, whatever, Dracula is physically drinking, right? He's a sanguinarian vampire. He's physically draining his victims of their physical blood, like their physical life force. But this could also be thought of as an allegory representing the process in a metaphysical way, draining that subtle life force, metaphysical or spiritual energy from the victim of the vampire. So blood is also symbolic of transformation and the cycles of life and death, because it is directly connected with regeneration and renewal, rejuvenation, and with Dracula and vampires, immortality, eternal youth. The archetypal symbolism of blood is that of the warrior, the healer, and also sacrifice. Its elemental symbolism is that of water. And again, water is connected with feminine energy, emotion, emotional depth, intuition, the subconscious. It's also connected with chaos and the abyss, the shadow, transformation, as well as with the dragon and demonesses such as Lilith and Leviathan, that of course are connected with the element of water. And so the maxim holds: the blood is the life, whether literally, as with Dracula, or figuratively, as with the energy vampire. The brides of Dracula, right? Because Dracula he always has his brides. He's a polygamist. He's always connected with these just incredibly gorgeous vampire brides. And the brides are an extension of Dracula's will. They help to amplify and multiply his power. He has total dominance over them, and they are completely subservient to Dracula. Dracula has complete psychic control of these women, and this is symbolic of him having total mastery of forces and the energies of nature, as well as having total mastery over animals and other humans. This also connects with psychic vampirism or metaphysical spiritual vampirism, because it's dealing with having remote influence over others. It is about channeling energy and influence at a distance. Dracula's dominance over his brides and their total, utter, complete subservience to him as a master is symbolic of his inhuman charisma and inhuman glamour. Through his brides, he is able to collect from multiple sources of energy and channel multiple sources of energy. The brides help Dracula in focusing to enhance his power as a vampire. The brides are symbolic of manipulation and control over the external environment through black magic. The brides also connect with the left-hand path. This is about polygamy. I mean, just look at the whole relationship between Dracula and his brides. It's just so odd and strange and weird and creepy and utterly bizarre. So it's unorthodox. It's a taboo relationship. The left-hand path, it's all about the unorthodox, the unconventional, the taboo. The brides represent various aspects of divine feminine energy with which Dracula is able to work. Looking at Dracula's attire, Dracula especially, of any vampire, is always impeccably, elegantly dressed. He adorns himself in the finest attire, the best suits that money can buy. Dracula creates this image through his attire, his dress. He puts forth this classic and sophisticated image. It's just the epitome of class, but also authority, as well as disguise and invisibility. So there's many things that Dracula is doing with his attire. One is invisibility, right? It's being used as a disguise to help him fit in with and intermingle with human society. So when he is around humans, the mundane humans, they see him as this kind of aristocratic man of sophistication and high class and education, but also through displaying his wealth, through his clothing, he is able to assert his authority within the human society. The Dracula's attire symbolizes his control and influence over his own image, as well as his influence over others. His attire is integral to power dynamics when Dracula is interacting with others. His clothing conveys power, status, and nobility. And the colors, right? So his colors are black, red, and white. And we see that carried out in his clothing as well. His suits or tuxedos, they're black and white. And there's often some flash of red, perhaps in the form of a rose tucked into the breast pocket. So the colors, again, black is symbolic of mystery and the unknown, the occult, magic, black magic, as well as transformation. These are all qualities of Dracula. The red is symbolic of vitality and blood and power. Again, this is Dracula as a vampire. And white, purity, order, illumination. This is symbolic of him using his powers to achieve superhuman abilities, godlike abilities, illumination, apotheosis. Okay, and that is... Okay, so that concludes our look at the impeccably dressed vampire Dracula. And so we'll move on. Okay, let us move on to the next symbol, that of the mirror. Traditionally, mirrors have symbolized self-reflection. They can reveal truth. They can give clarity. They connect with optical illusions, and they can also distinguish or separate or create a boundary between illusion and reality. Mirrors can distort perceptions, and they can reveal hidden truths. This connects to the deceptive and hidden nature of the vampire. Now, with the vampire, especially with Dracula, the way that he is portrayed is that he has no reflection. Okay, so how can we view this allegorically? Well, this is alluding to his mastery over the metaphysical realm. And it is really denoting that he is a metaphysical being. He's an energy being. This is how he can have so many powers. It's how he can have such a mastery, such a command over energy, how he can shape-shift. This having no reflection is actually symbolizing that Dracula is an ascended master and that he has transcended the mundane world. So that mirror that is typically reflecting back the physical world, it does not pick up on Dracula because he is way beyond this mundane physical world. He is beyond convention. He is beyond physical law. Dracula having no reflection could also does also symbolize his invisibility, whether it is in practices of black magic or practices of vampirism. Next, let us have a look at fangs. Fangs are a very interesting symbol. Of course, the vampire always has fangs. This is one of the most prominent symbols of the vampire, and Dracula, of course, is no exception to this. Fangs are connected with predation, right? This is why they're scary. This is why they're terrifying. The vampire and Dracula, they have quite large fangs, don't they? And this makes them scary because it's portraying to everyone else, especially their victim, that they are a predator. Fangs also connect with survival. They are the natural weapon of the predator, the natural tool of the hunter. Physically, they pierce the skin to draw blood for survival and sustenance. And in the books and the movies, this is what Dracula uses them for. But this is allegory in metaphysical vampirism. These fangs are figuratively used to pierce the protective aura of the energy body or of the soul, to pierce into the soul, to drain that metaphysical life force that circulates within. So the fangs are very much connected with dominance. They are a weapon used for breaking down or breaking through defenses, whether they be physical, like the physical body, or psychic defenses. The fangs, I should say, symbolize will and intent, the will and intent to penetrate the veils of illusion. They are tools for absorbing, transmuting, assimilating, and synthesizing subtle, spiritual, metaphysical energies. Okay, we have 3 more symbols that we're going to look at. The next is that of mist or fog that often accompanies Dracula, especially when he is out wandering at night, hunting or coming upon his victim, right? A lot of times the victim will become aware of this intruding kind of fog or mist before Dracula appears. Mist and fog, okay, looking at the symbolism, they are connected with the concepts of obscurity and mystery. Right, this mist or this fog, it blurs the line between realms. It blurs the line between what is seen and what is unseen, what is known and what is unknown. It is kind of this haziness between the real and the unreal, life and death, etc. So it's a kind of this boundary, but it's kind of like blurring that line, right? If you've ever been out walking through the fog, it's like you can kind of see through it, but not completely. And sometimes you can see things, but you're not exactly sure what you're seeing. There's kind of an interesting dynamic and symbolism going on with this concept of the mist or the fog. So this also symbolizes transition and transformation. Within the fog or within that mist, it is a liminal space conducive to change and transformation. It is a state of neither fully one thing nor the other. It is the threshold between the natural and the supernatural. It really is a potent symbol, and that is why you see it used so often in horror movies and things like this. And is very much connected with the archetype of the vampire. It also symbolizes invisibility, perhaps cloaking one's energetic presence from others when performing vampire magic. It can also symbolize navigation and manipulation. The fluid and adaptable nature of energy in vampyric magical practice. It is the magical veil. It separates the mundane from the magical, the profane from the sacred, and it shields the occult craft. So this is why it is so often used in things like horror movies, but especially with vampires, it is shielding their craft. Their magical workings. Okay, so mist and fog, we can think of it as being connected with the element of water and air. So it would be connected with emotion and intuition and increased psychic abilities. The mist, the fog, it is a gateway. It is a liminal space. It is like a gateway between realms. You know, when you're watching a movie and the fog rolls in, you're never sure what's going to happen or where you're going to end up or where you're going to go, but something's going to happen. The change is afoot. Transformation is impending. The mist and fog, these concepts are connected with things also like remote viewing and astral projection. Because it being a gateway, it's opening this gateway to other realms and dimensions and planes, what have you. All right, we are down to the last two symbols of Dracula. Okay, Immortality and Eternal Youth, which Dracula has, of course. He would not be Dracula without these very important attributes. This is perpetual sustenance from feeding unendingly upon metaphysical energies. Well, of course, in popular culture, it's physical blood. But the allegory here is we're referring to subtle, spiritual, metaphysical energies. But it is a never-ending process, because in order to have the immortality through vampirism, in order to have eternal youth, you must continually be in a perpetual state of rejuvenation and regeneration and healing. So it's an insatiable appetite where you are just continually feeding upon these energies to maintain youth, maintain vitality. And, the blood, again, it is symbolic of this life force energy. These blood cravings, it is a craving for that metaphysical life force energy. And so there is an insatiable appetite. A sleepless mind and an insatiable appetite. And I can't remember where I read that from so many years ago. But that line has always stuck with me. I want to say Anne Rice's Memnoch the Devil. I believe that's the name of the book. I do think it is part of her Vampire Chronicles. Pretty sure that's where that is from, but I've read that, it's got to be decades ago now, and that line is just, for some reason, has always stuck with me. But it just seems very poignant right now in talking about this. So immortality and eternal youth, of course, this is connected with apotheosis, self-deification, because that's what that is all about. You're becoming a living god or becoming a living goddess. Of course, you must be immortal, unless you're a Norse god, I suppose, but that's no fun, now is it? So it's, transgression of natural laws. Again, we keep coming back to this with Dracula. It's transgressing boundaries, transcending boundaries. It's like Dracula looks at the natural world and says, no. He does his own thing because he's a sovereign being. This, of course, is connected. Immortality is connected with alchemical transformation. It's connected with the Philosopher's Stone. It's connected with the eternal cycle of death and rebirth, mastering chaos, cheating death, or rather embracing death and achieving mastery of its chaotic energies. All right, we have arrived at the last symbol, and that is Dracula's psychic abilities. So Dracula has psychic abilities. Vampires have psychic abilities. Depending on the, the author, I guess, or which type of vampire or whose vampire is being portrayed. Not all of them have psychic abilities. Some of them do. But this would be symbolic of their mastery, their manipulation, and their influence. Whether they have psychic abilities or not, the vampire has glamour, they have charisma, and they use these as tools to manipulate others, to influence others. It's psychic abilities. Of course, this is so strongly connected with dominance, manipulating or influencing others or the environment or anything through psychic abilities. Think of how dominant of an act that is. Not just dominance in general, but also dominance over one's will, because you must have an absolutely solid, unwavering will to enact manipulation through psychic means. This of course is connected with energy manipulation and metaphysical spiritual vampirism. You're working with these subtle energies, a lot of times at a distance, remotely. This is psychic. It's, some use the term psychic vampirism, energy vampirism, but vampirism, magic, alchemy, this is all working with psychic things. And even in metaphysics, foundational to metaphysics is thought, and in metaphysics, thought is referred to as psychic thought energy, and that really ties in with Hermeticism and the first law or principle of Hermeticism, that the all is mind, the universe is mental. It's all thought, and so it's all psychic. So subtle energy, when we're talking about energy manipulation, psychic thought energy, psychic abilities, we're talking about working with subtle energies. Also covert influence, autonomy, sovereignty, mastery. Of course, anyone who has reached a level like Dracula, where they are able to control their environment and control others through psychic abilities, this is a master, and this is just displaying true sovereign power. You can do what you want of your own means. This ties in with psychic warfare. Again, that covert influence and conducting warfare through psychic means, and trying to be invisible and trying to be remote about it, have remote influence. Psychic abilities, of course, connects with the infinite God mind, the higher mind, cosmic mind, because you must integrate higher consciousness to work with these psychic things. Well, in metaphysics, at least, if we just look at metaphysics, you're talking about the psychic exchange level of the mind. You have to go deeper, because most people are stuck in their conscious surface level, but you got to really go into the subconscious and master that, so then you can go into the unconscious. Right now we're getting really deep. And learn to navigate and negotiate that plane, so then you can get to the psychic exchange level, and it is from there that you can work with the psychic mechanism. That is the last symbol. Okay. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it if you have actually listened to this point. I really tried to just create an interesting video here, and add something unique to the content for our channel. So there you go. I am Dr. Murphy with Plutosophia. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our content here, please subscribe and like the video, because that does really help out. And if you would really like to support us more in what we're doing in making videos or in our mission with Plutosophia, then you can check out the description for more information about how you can do that, how you can support us there. Yeah, and if you're continuing to watch our videos, just keep an eye on the description areas because, this is we're just starting out with this endeavor. When I say we, I'm using that as the royal we. It's really just me right now. This is the very beginning. I have huge ambitions, but obviously as somebody who works full time and doing this by myself, the process is very slow. So I am very ambitious, but when it comes to like how quickly I can get things up, it's just kind of a step-by-step process. So I'm trying to put out some videos when I can. I'm trying to set up some social media. I did set up an X or Twitter, whatever they call it now, that account. So that's at Plutosophia. As of this recording, there are no followers there, so it's kind of embarrassing. So thank you so much to whoever would be the first person to join there. I am in the process of constructing the website. So as soon as I have that up in a reasonable, presentable form and working manner, then I will be sharing that with you guys as well. Like I said, also you guys can comment constructive feedback or, anything you liked or anything you think. I'm open to criticism and feedback, so if there's anything you think that I could do better or that you as viewers would like to see, you can definitely mention that in the comments. I am definitely reading all of the comments, so don't think like I'm ignoring them. I'm definitely reading all the comments, so I do see what you guys post there. Of course, I just ask that you be respectful and use appropriate language, or I'm going to delete the comments. Okay. If you're still listening at this point of my rambling, again, I really appreciate it. I thank you so much. And I will hopefully see you all in the next video. Okay. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.